different types of personalities in pro football players, but they figured the only way they could keep Billy White Shoes out last week was not to allow him to suit up. Yesterday, he insisted he'd be all right. They were a little dubious. He's on the football field.
Ray Guy to kick off. Slight breeze at his back. Here we go. Durden on the 2. The rookie's out to the 15, to the 20. Had a 29-yard kickoff return average, and he fights his way back to the Houston 25-yard line. And now we'll take a look at the Oilers. There's Billy White Shoes, one of the most electrifying players in the National Football League.
4 yards on the play.
The quarterback will be Pastorini, number 7. The running backs will be Ronnie Coleman, number 47, and Tim Wilson, number 45. The wide receivers, Ken Burrows, 00. Rich Castor, 88 on the other side, and Mike Barber, the tight end. First down, Houston on their 25. They're in a slot left formation. Wilson in motion. Ronnie Coleman has the ball. Coleman's out to the 30-yard line. And John Houston starts off running the way the Raiders do, to the left.
Well, they'd like to be able to run the ball. Everybody would. It would allow Dan to have a lot of 2nd, 4, 2nd, and 5 calls. They've picked up what has been typical for them all year as we see the offensive line, which has been a prime factor in the reason they've been coming up with 2nd and 3 situations. It's kind of spearheaded by Carl Mock. He's been a veteran, a fine one for a long time. They seem to be coming into their own.
Raiders are playing their 3-4 defense. Houston played the same time. There goes Coleman back left. And he appears to be just short of a first down. Hit there by Ted Hendrick and Rod Martin. Defensive line for Houston. The left end, John Matuzak, 72, playing with a broken bone in his hand. Otis Sistrunk is the middle guard, number 60. And a rookie, Dave Browning, number 73, is the right end. Change in linebacking today. Hendricks is strong side linebacker. Johnson and Rod Martin, 53, are in the middle, and Villapiano is the weak side outside linebacker, number 51. Third down, or first down. He made the first down to the 35. Cut back by Tim Wilson, the first time we've seen him, a second-year player from Maryland. He was drafted for his blocking. They didn't know how good a runner he was.
You know, as an indicator, Kurt, we've been talking about the offensive line some prior to the game. Greg Sampson's a kid from Stanford, and not because I went to the school, but he's come along fine in the last 4 or 5 years. He's got a tough job today playing against a guy like Matusak, and you know he's got his hands full of material. That time he put him back a couple yards. Take a look at this. Now it's awfully hard. This is Connie Heyman. He puts Matusak back on the other side of the line of scrimmage. Not many people do that.
We have an injury. George Reiner, the left guard, is hurt, and Morris Towns, who did not start today, now will come in to take over. This telecast presented by...
I didn't expect that kind of score.
Second down, 8. Wilson and Coleman, the running backs. Towns now in at left guard. Pastorini on a draw play. Off to Coleman. Coleman breaks it. Has a first down as he comes out to the Houston 48, where he's knocked down by Ted Hendricks. Ronnie Coleman running well today in place of Earl Campbell.
Ronnie Coleman has not had much playing time. However, if you remember last year, he was their top running back. He's always run well when he's been called on. He's taken the place of Earl Campbell early. It would be a real plus if Houston could get by another football game without using Earl. They've got a good chance with Ronnie running the ball.
Yeah, he's run it 3 times for 20 yards. First down, the Oilers on their 48. No score, first period. In the eye with a slot right setup. That was Wilson in motion. That's Ronnie Coleman, and he's to the 50-yard line. Oh, was he hit there by Monty Johnson.
And the game is getting underway, Kurt.
That's right. Gain of 2. Second down, 8. John Matuzak.
Second down, call a wait to go for
You talk to him. A final. Pittsburgh remains undefeated. 31-7 over Atlanta. 2 more touchdown passes for Terry Bradshaw. Leads the league now with 12.
Having his best year ever.
Second down, 8. Houston just short of the 50. There's a delay. Coleman punches for 2 yards. On a delayed play, Otis Sistrunk, the middle guard, Dave Browning, the right end. Set up that secondary for Oakland, John.
Well, the secondary could have their hands full if the defensive line for Oakland does a good job. Lester Hayes is the man that is impulsive a bit. He's an excellent cover, but when you've got Monty Jackson on the other side, not too many people like to pick on him. Very few people fiddle with anybody in the middle, with Jack Tatum patrolling the middle zone. So Lester Hayes has got to have a good day.
Third down, Pat's in there. Pat Toomey in place of Matuzak to rush the passer. 3rd and 6. Pastorini's first throw. Gets away. He's going to run for a first down. He's at the 40, and he goes down to the 39. Hit down there by Rod Martin, and Pat Toomey had rushed him. He escaped Toomey's rush.
And Dante has a hamstring pull. He's over it, but it still bothers him. You can tell he is very reluctant. Once he gets out of the pocket, he has about 20 yards to work with. He knows he can pick up the first down, and when he gets to that line, it's all over, Scout.
Martin stopped the play for the Raiders.
First down, 3rd in a row for the Oilers. Earl Campbell now is in the game. 34. The fabled rookie Earl Campbell teamed up with Tim Wilson. Fake to Campbell. They shoot the pass. There's Burrows, and he can't quite get his hands on it. He was running an out pattern to the sidelines. Covered there by Monty Jackson, the right cornerback.
Good time to throw a play-action pass. He's also got Mike Renfro in the ball game now, I notice. Ray Renfro's son. He comes from awfully good stock, and to make the club and be doing a lot of playing in your rookie year as a receiver is a pretty good deal.
2nd down, 10 to go. No score, first period. 10 minutes to go in this quarter. Look at that hole open. That's Earl Campbell, and you can see he runs the 40 in 4.6. He's put on about 10 pounds since he came out of the University of Texas. He started out wide, and then he showed you why he's going to be great with that cutting back ability.
He showed you why he's going to be great. His offensive line has to really feel pumped up with a guy like him in the backfield. He didn't get contact till he was 7 yards down the field. When you get that sort of break, your offensive line's doing a great job.
Ken Burrows out. They put 2 tight ends in now. Rutgers there with Barber. 3rd down and 2 to go. Houston on the 31-yard line of the Oakland Raiders. Campbell the call. Campbell trying to squirm for it after he was hit. Very close to the first down. Dave Browning made the initial hit on him, and then Monty Johnson assisted.
It was stopped by Browning along with Martin for the Raiders.
Washington just escaped an upset today. The Redskins had a rally. Theismann threw a pass to McDaniel, and that final was 21-19 Washington.
Monty Clark's gang gave all he could handle before they got it, though.
4th down, a yard to go, and the Oilers are going to go for it. In the I formation. John Madden is yelling something down. Illegal delay. Madden was racing up and down the sidelines, pointing to the 30-second clock. He was officiating that time, but he called the attention, and they called illegal delay. Now this will change the play for the Oilers.
Well, sometimes you'll see a team go up to the line of scrimmage, try to draw the defense offside, and if you get a break, you get a first down. If not, you punt. This was not the situation, however, because they were only 47 yards from being able to kick a field goal. It was a situation where they're in no man's land. He was not trying to get too much time on that play.
So now Cliff Parsley, the punter's in there. Second-year man from Oklahoma State, trying to nail it out of bounds, and he gets it out of bounds. Right around the 10-yard line. And the Raiders will take the ball over in the hole for their first series. We'll be back here in Oakland right after this. Hey, right now, let's take a look at the Oakland backfield. Stabler at quarterback. Gary Robisky, number 35. Mark Van Egan, the second leading rusher in the American Conference. There are the wide receivers, Branch, Bradshaw, Casper, the tight end. First down, Oakland from their 10. Running back to the weak side. They call it, in coach's terminology, the weak side, but it's the strong side for the Raiders. Robisky's brought down by Greg Bingham, the inside linebacker. There's the offensive line.
Well, everybody knows these fellas. Mickey Marvin is the only newcomer. He's been doing the same kind of job George Beeler did before him. So much so that they've allowed Beeler to go to Cleveland in a trade last week. That says enough.
Incidentally, the Oilers had the ball 6 minutes on that opening drive that was finally stalled. Robisky again, and he is brought down. There's a near fumble. He's hit there by Curly Culp, the middle guard. Robisky playing with a gimpy leg today.
He has a little hamstring. They seem to be more prevalent now than they used to be. These guys are they're wound so tight. They've got excellent defensive linemen, Kurt. Jim Young is a newcomer. Curly Culp playing the middle is probably the toughest thing to do for a defensive lineman. You've got 4 or 5 different angles of blockers coming at you. Elvin Bethea on the other side has been a great one. He and Rich Jackson were the 2 toughest people I ever played against.
This is a 3rd and 5 for the Raiders. Stabler with the time. Pass is deflected. There's a flag down. Greg Bingham knocked that ball down. It was a good rush by 77 to left end. Stabler has a knack of using many different receivers, and this penalty is going against Houston. I think it's roughing the passer.
And you can see why when somebody roughs the passer, usually it's because the defensive lineman got so close before you could find a receiver open that some contact has to be made. Casper trying to get out. He was the primary receiver. He was never able to get free.
Unnecessary roughness, roughing the passer, number 77.
That's on James Young, number 77, and it cost him 15.
Mike Wiseman has it down there. Our producer can show you very easily. Ted Washington all over Casper. Gets a little push past that 5-yard zone. He thinks he was intimidated. Bring it up to the ref's attention. See if you can get a call.
Possibly penalty for the Oilers also, because Oakland would have had to go into a punt formation. Now they have the ball in the 30 with the first down. Whittington's in the game. And the speedy rookie from Southern Methodist, who scored 4 touchdowns, is tackled by Elvin Bethea, number 65. 11 years for Elvin. Bum Phillips was telling me, John, before the game, I said, what do you need in the future? He said, we haven't drafted any defensive players lately. For the next couple of years, we're going strictly for defense in the draft.
Well, they seem to have a pretty good defense from where I'm looking. Arthur Whittington on the last play, you know, his style doesn't really set up well with Oakland's mold. However, they've been blocking for him pretty well on sweeps, and it's hard for Oakland to do that effectively.
Andy Doris is in for Bethea. Whittington on the other side, turns the corner. He is the fastest back that the Raiders ever had. And they need that outside speed.
They need the outside speed, but they're not geared to get guards that can pull and lead him. On this play, you'll notice he outruns all the angles. Now, when you've got that kind of speed, you'd like to have a guard that can get out there fast enough to give you an opportunity to go inside or outside. Oakland doesn't have that. He doesn't fit in with their mold, but so far they've been effective with it.
Whittington comes out. He's being used a lot like Mercury Morris was used by Don Shula at Miami.
And they had people that really complimented Mercury Morris better.
First down, the Raiders on their 44. Robisky changes direction. And with pursuit, Robert Brazil ran across the field. James Young, the left end. Brazil is number 52. Many consider him the best outside linebacker in the game.
And they have good claim to that fact. The other side's got a pretty good claim in Ted Washington. But you can see Gene Upshaw gets into Brazil, seems to hold him just long enough to where Robisky can get outside the contain and pick up the 4 yards.
Second down, 6, the Raiders coming up. No score. There are 6 minutes to play in the first period. Robert Brazil. A torpedo, believe me. Over the 50-yard line fights Mark Van Egan, who's averaged 4.9 yards a carry this year. And he is brought down there by James Young, who used to work for the Houston Fire Department. He was just a walk-on, and Elvin Bethea.
He could put out a fire without a truck.
Put out a few ball carriers, I'll tell you. They're on the 48-yard line of the Oilers. Now they have 3 tight ends, Casper, Chester, and the rookie Derek Ramsey on. Third down and 1.5 yards to go. No score. 5:18 remaining in the first period. And I don't believe they have it. Mark Van Egan trying to hammer over left guard is stopped by Elvin Bethea.
They obviously don't have it. A man as responsible as anybody that keeps you out of the middle. Curly Culp again. He's been the stalwart in this 3-man line defense. Watch him handle Dave Dalby. Now, if you don't move him anywhere, he slides over to the plate, forces the running back to the outside of the middle. As he does so, it gives 3 guys an opportunity to be working on 2 blockers, and there's no hole.
John, you and I were chatting over a cup of coffee this morning, about the longevity now of the nose guard in pro football and the offensive centers.
I'll tell you, their time is cut. The offensive guards have extended their playing careers because there's nobody standing over their nose. However, the defensive ends and the middleman have shortened their careers, and the players know it. And not necessarily do the linemen like to play that three-man line.
There he is, Billy White Shoes Johnson, along with Rick Upchurch. I guess you could argue in Houston or argue in Denver which is the best, but this is one of the premier return men in all of football. He is exciting. And anytime he has a chance to touch the ball, he is a threat in any manner. Great guy will punt to him.
Give me either one of them.
I'd like to have both of the double safeties.
Not enough balls to go around.
Great guy, averaging 43 yards a boot, hoists it up. That one is hit deep, and it is being angled out of bounds away from White Shoes. They're going to line it up on the 18-yard line where Houston will take over with the score. Houston nothing and Oakland nothing. 4-2. And Washington just squeezed by the Lions 21-19. Boy, it nearly upset the undefeated Redskins. The Redskins still unbeaten. Earl Campbell is stopped at his 21-yard line. Ted Hendricks. Mike McCoy's gone in as middle guard. 2nd down, 7. The Heisman Trophy winner, Earl Campbell. Earl the Rose. His mother raised roses to help support the big family, and he'll do the supporting now with his contract. Carpenter's number 26. Campbell. Just short of the 25-yard line. These two teams and their 3-4 defenses are strikingly similar in sacks and total defense. Oakland's allowed the opposition 280 yards of offense a game. Houston's allowed 284. Oakland has had 10 sacks in 5 games. Houston 9. The leaders, San Diego and Green Bay, lead the NFL in sacks. They've each got to the quarterback 23 times. 3rd down, 3 from the Houston 25. Carpenter. Club's having trouble moving.
I think he may have the first down, and if he does, Houston is running the ball, their tight end, a little more than they have in the past. They feel Mike Barber's an excellent tight end. You have to be strong to handle the linebackers that are playing today, and particularly when you face a Teddy Hendricks. The ball's coming right at Barber. If you take Ted Hendricks, you're taking a whole lot on. He moves him a yard back of the line of scrimmage. That's about the best you're going to do before your back can pick up the rest. They get the first down, and they're on the move.
And it's obvious, John, Houston's going at it on the ground, running right at them. They could move on the ground against the Raiders' front 3. Here goes Campbell on the sweep. Campbell cuts back down on the 30-yard line. That's just a yard pickup. And Hendricks and Rod Martin, the 2nd-year linebacker of Southern Cal, playing in place of the injured Willie Hall on the tackle.
And whereas Barber got the best of the last play, Hendricks got the best of this one. There's no tougher job for a tight end than to try and knock a linebacker out of his containment. And it's particularly Hendricks. The Stork just keeps you off him. He forced the play to go inside. The pursuit picked it up. 1-yard gain.
Rookie receiver Mike Renfro's on the field. Slotted inside. Ken Burrow. They stay on the ground. Carpenter zigzagging around. Only a couple or 3 of the Raiders stiffen up now. Again, the Stork, Ted Hendricks, and Monty Jackson, the right cornerback, teamed up for the stop. Well, let's give the Oilers 3rd down now and 6 to go. And Colsey comes on the field, the 5th secondary back. Pat Toomey goes in to rush the passer on 3rd down. 33-yard line of Houston, 3rd and 6. Ronnie Coleman is in. Earl Campbell goes out. Burrows is split to the left. Mike Renfro is to the right. Renfro is a receiver in the pattern of Fred Biletnikoff. Good hand, not overly fast. Right down the middle, and the catch is made for the first down in the Houston 44 by Ronnie Coleman coming out of the backfield in front of Monty Johnson, the linebacker.
Good throw by Dan Pastorini. He's going back. The play happened quickly. You notice he didn't get set. He went back. He's starting to put his weight's kind of on the back. steps sideways, but still puts the ball out there at just the right time. There aren't many linebackers, Monty Johnson included, that can handle a pass that's thrown that effectively.
That's the first completion of the game. Campbell's back in with Carpenter. Oilers first down in their 44. There he goes on the delay again. Hands that ball deep, sort of a draw play. And then when Campbell gathers that momentum, he can roar. Johnson and Browning hit him. It is now on the 48-yard line of the Oilers. Second down, 6. Campbell missed last week's game, but still is third in the conference in rushing. Delvin Williams of the Dolphins is the leader.
I think he's fooled most people with his speed, Kurt. That's what's impressed so many people. 225, 5'10 and a half.
Cutback play. Carpenter wriggles into Raider territory to the Raider 48. Monty Johnson took him with assists by the rookie right end Browning.
They're moving the ball pretty well, and they're moving it against outside linebackers that are stupendous. We've mentioned Teddy Hendricks time and again. Phil Villapiano's been All-Pro twice, is the real enthusiastic guy on the club, gets people pumped up in key situations, has been having a good year and makes a good play this time.
Not exactly a wild, exciting first period. No score. We'll be back with the second quarter of today's game after these messages from your local station. First period, total offense. Houston has 81 yards, Oakland just 28. The Raiders have not been scored on this year in the first period, and they keep that record intact.
However, Houston has moved the ball very well, Kurt.
Coleman and Rob Carpenter, the running back, trying to dive for it. Ronnie Coleman. And very conservative, the Houston Ball Club. They're looking to the yard sticks on the far side, and again a measurement. They've had a lot of third and close ones.
It's close. You do notice a tendency, however. They have a tight end that they feel can block very well. In 2 short yardage situations, they've run at him. They've got it again.
First down for the Oilers.
Okay, let's take a look. Steve Barber at the point of attack, getting all he can handle from Phil Villapiano. However, he keeps him out of the play just enough, Mike Barber, excuse me, to get him over the top and pick up the first down.
The Oilers ball on the Oakland 46. This is from the end zone. Look at him dive, and he's got it, but he limped off the field, and Earl Campbell replaces him. Campbell and Carpenter. There goes Campbell. Ooh, that's Earl Campbell. Like a wild bull. Found the crack, but over the 40 to the 35 of Oakland, where he was hit by Jack Tatum. When Campbell meets Tatum, that's something.
Well, I'll tell you, and Tatum has all the worst of it. Notice how low Campbell runs. Now, he gives you very little to hit. When you do find a piece, I'm not sure it'd be fun to try it.
Houston is on the Oakland Raider 35 with a first down. Slot right formation. The Oilers have dominated the game so far. Earl Campbell. There was a great hit on him that time.
I guess
Ted Hendricks, number 83. Clubs have been running away from Hendricks this year, and you can see why.
And it's pretty tough when you try to pick on Villapiano. But between the two, I don't think you have a choice. Ted Hendricks is having his best year, and he's been All-Pro 3 or 4 times, so that says quite a bit. People have just not been effective trying his side.
Earl Campbell is 34 yards, 8 carries. Second down, 8. 33-yard line of the Raiders. Houston in possession. In motion is Carpenter. Campbell has the ball. He's over the 30, and he's to the 29-yard line of the Raiders, where he's stopped by Mike McCoy, the middle guard, and Monty Johnson. There's nothing fancy about this Oiler attack. Just slog it out, and they've had the ball most of the time.
They're doing it very well. The interior of that offensive line, you know, Reiner, Fisher, Mock, these guys, most of them are new. Now, Mock's been around quite a while, but Fisher and Reiner are relatively new, and they're doing a fine job in the middle.
Third down and 3. Renfro flank to the left. Houston's converted on third down 4 out of 5. And they have another conversion. That's 5 out of 6. The Oilers have converted their third down situation. Excellent. 33 1/3% of the time is average.
You get a great feel as a center when you know you have a bull like Campbell behind you. Mark has a man over the top of his nose. That's a tough play for a center to make. However, he gets penetration, moves McCoy backwards, gives his man an opportunity to get into the hole, pick up his first down, and Mark's been very, very impressive.
Pastorini sets him down. They're on the Raider 23 with a first down. There goes Carpenter. Short yardage to the 20-yard line of the Raiders. Rob Carpenter, last year, came through, had a good season.
Hate to belabor a point, Kurt, but I'm telling you, Mark, that play was stopped for a 3.5-yard gain, but it looked like a no-gain play. Mark gets into McCoy, moves him 3 yards deep into the defense. When you do that, you're playing center.
They're trying to plug up that middle of Raiders now. They put Sistrunk in there in place of McCoy, and Oilers keep stabbing at the middle. That time it's Earl Campbell. Short yardage, maybe to the 17-yard line. Phil Villapiano, the weak side linebacker, and Otis Sistrunk. This will bring up a third down. Coming on the field is Charles Filyaw, replacing Matuzak.
Went to the well one time too many.
On the 18, 3rd and 6. Pastorini has not been sacked in the last 4 games. Sacked 4 times this year. That was in the first game. He may throw this time. He is. He lobs it out. It's broken up. Monty Jackson was right there with Ken Burrow. Burrow led all the NFL receivers last year for the best average. Somebody's injured as they ran into the stands.
Well, when they have those walls real close to the sideline, you have to keep your attention on that ball till you get to the sideline. Lester Hayes runs right smack dab into it before he sees it.
That's Monty Jackson, I believe,
Is
John.
it Monty?
In the shadows there, Jackson obtained by the Raiders from the Rams, and now Tony Frisch comes on. Monty Jackson seems to be all right. Tony Frisch has hit 7 out of 8 field goals this year. And this one is going to be a 35-yard attempt. 10:52 to go in the half. No score. The Oilers have run the most plays. They've had the ball most of the time. Frisch is up. His kick is good. And the Oilers score first. Timeout to score. The Houston Oilers 3 and the Oakland Raiders nothing.
These are 2 of today's newest razors. The one on the right is the new Norelco rotary razor. This one has 2 blades. The new Norelco 36. This one pivots up and down. The new Norelco has 3 adjustable heads that float and a new shaving angle. Both give you a close shave, but there is one thing they offer that Norelco doesn't. Gotcha. The new Norelco rotary razor. Very close, but no gotcha. Homeward bound, coast of New England. The Navy. See a recruiter or call toll-free. It's not just a job, it's an adventure.
Celebrate the 75th anniversary of the World Series as the New York Yankees take on the Los Angeles Dodgers in Game 1 of baseball's annual October Spectacular, Tuesday.
That's the Oakland coaching box.
They've got a good staff.
First down, the Oilers on their 4-yard line. They're ahead in this game, 3-0. 9 minutes to play in the first half. And punching out to the 10-yard line is Earl Campbell, brought down by Monty Johnson. The Oilers now have run about 3 times as many plays.
And 6 yards.
And in possession time, 16 minutes, John, they've had the ball to 5 minutes for Oakland.
And one man is most responsible, number 34.
Second down, 4. Campbell's around 45, 50 yards already in the game. That time they stopped him. They stopped him that time. Rod Martin got to him first, number 53, a very quick linebacker. Really hauls out. Some feelings being displayed down there. Campbell now has 47 yards in 12 carries. He has averaged this year 5.3 yards a carry. He's averaging just under 4 yards in this game.
Just a crack, and he's got 8.
Third down, 4. He'll throw for it. Going deep to Burrows. Burrows is out there and over his head. Ken Burrows, many consider the best deep threat in the game. Last year, led the NFL wide receivers with the best average per catch.
And he's creepy. He'll kind of jog off the line of scrimmage. He'll try to lull the defensive back into hanging back there at 14 yards. He can outrun the angle. Pastorini throws it over Monty Jackson's head. You don't see many people get behind number 42 at all.
Pressure punt coming up for Cliff Parsley. He'll be kicking out of his end zone. Neil Colsey of the Raiders is on his 47. He's kicking against about an 8-mile-an-hour wind. The Raiders should have excellent position after this is over. And they're going to be in Houston territory on the Houston 47-yard line. Raiders ball, first down, timeout. The score still Houston 3, Oakland nothing.
They had an opportunity to look at the backside. There was no one there. That's the easiest touchdown he'll ever score. Right here, Willie Alexander makes an excellent play to force the play in. He's got great pursuit. As he turns around, he sees nothing but Raiders on the other side, takes advantage of it. It's 6-3 Oakland.
And the Raiders have a new hero here in the Coliseum, a rookie, Arthur Whittington, who just scored his 5th touchdown of the season. David Humble hold for Earl Mann.
They're going against the rule, Kurt.
The kick by Mann is good.
As Errol Bates said, I mentioned going against the rule. Usually you play your bigger fellas down by the goal line. He's the smallest back they have. He comes in every time they get down there.
Timeout with the score. The Oakland Raiders 7 and the Houston Oilers 3.
Benjamin Franklin.
Area. Ronnie Coleman and Tim Wilson, the running backs as the Oilers come up. First down on their own 20. McCoy is the nose guard to place the Sistrunk for the Raiders. Ronnie Coleman. Oh, there's a good play by Lester Hayes, the left cornerback. He shot through there and upset him.
Let's take a look. You know, this is why plays go well wide or don't go well wide. Lester Hayes is an excellent force man. It's incumbent upon some of the wide receivers. It's the toughest block in football to keep that cornerback out of across the line of scrimmage. That time he got around Burrows. When he did so, Coleman wasn't expecting it. He dropped him in back of the line of scrimmage.
Second down, 11 to go. Oilers ball under 19. 7-3. Raiders leading. Gonna throw this time to the sideline. Burrow blanketed there by Monty Jackson, number 42. Burrow's claiming he was pushed around.
Well, what happened is I think that Houston was just fooled. They thought he had Monty Jackson one-on-one. It appears that way in what we see in the monitor. However, Jackson's allowed to play him as tight as he is because of the fact that Tatum is playing the deep outside zone. When you fool somebody, you come up with that kind of play.
5 backs in the secondary for the Raiders. Pat Toomey's in the rush. Third down, 11. They're going to run it to Tim Wilson. Wilson corralled by Charlie Phillips. And the Raiders Oilers look very impressive on defense in that series.
Well, they're forcing the play. They seem to have called the right defenses at the right times. Let's take a look. Rich Castor. Excellent wide receiver. He does his job. He keeps Lester Hayes out of the backfield. However, he couldn't keep all the defensive backs out. Pretty tough play to run on 3rd and 10.
Cliff Parsley to punt. He's had 2 punts, averaging 33.5 yards. Neil Colsey is the safety man. Nearly blocked by Jeff Barnes. Colsey calls for the fair catch on his 35. Nobody within 10 yards of him.
Yeah, but about 10 yards away, there were 7 Houston Cats. They were trying to block the punt. He had nowhere to go.
The Raiders now will have the ball with the score 7-3. The Raiders come up on their 35-yard line with a first down. They have run only 15 plays to Houston's 32, yet the Raiders are ahead. Van Egan lowering that head and bowling his way to the 38-yard line. A very tough inside runner who was tackled by Curly Culp and Elvin Bethea, the right end. It is 2nd down, 7. Kenny Stabler had to pass 31 times in a game against the Oilers here last season. Oakland won that game 34-29. The last 3 games these 2 teams have played have been fingers. Now there's a flag down. Illegal procedure against Oakland. They'll move the ball back to their 33, give them a 2nd down, 12.
2nd 12 with Stabler at the helm is passing down. You don't make much on Houston running the ball anyway. You bet he'll go up top 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, as long as he can control the ball.
Sunday night, October 15th, 8 to 10 p.m. Bob Hope will have his all-star comedy to salute to the 75th anniversary of the World Series. What a cast. Steve Martin, the Muppets, special guest, Danny Kaye. Van Egan outside, slips and goes down on the 32-yard line. 3rd down and 13. Robert Brazil right on top of him.
Well, I pick him, don't I? I was sure he'd go up top. He's got excellent field position. He very seldom gives away a down. They made a pretty good defensive play, and now it's 3rd down and 13.
Greg Bingham leaves, and J.C. Wilson becomes a 5th secondary back for the Oilers. 3rd and 13. Raiders on their 32. 3:13 to go in the first half. And the Raiders are employing 3 wide receivers. Wide open. Bradshaw, 50, out of bounds. Mike Reinfeldt pulled him out of bounds on the 46-yard line of Houston.
Boy, when you've got wide receivers like Oakland does, and you get them in a position where you're playing a double wing, you let Bradshaw go down the field, working on linebackers and a free safety. We mentioned earlier in the broadcast that the free safeties are going to have their hands full. Here we see Stemrick. He's got to handle Bradshaw. He's not in a position to cover him to the short outside, about 15 yards down the field. Stabler finds him, picks up an easy first down just by utilizing the proper call against a good defense.
And a new set of running backs for the Raiders. Whittington, 22, Banasac, number 40. Raiders first down on the Houston 46. Banasac, 40. Banasac, 35, another first down. Steve Kiner pulled him down.
Oh, Pete, when things aren't going too well run-wise, they seem to put him in there. He sparks things up. How many times have you seen him when nobody's making any ground, pick up 10 or 11 at a very crucial time? He finds the proper hole, gets into the secondary. Kiner finally brings him down, but he's got a first down.
Branch and Bradshaw on a slot right. 2:20 to go in the first half. 7-3 Raiders. Saber going to the end zone to Bradshaw. Alexander intercepts for a touchback. Will be Houston's ball, first down. Houston will come out and put the ball in play on their 20-yard line. Willie Alexander.
Not many times does Kenny Stabler get fooled, but I do believe he read the defense wrong. Alexander's playing way off Bradshaw, gives him no chance to get to him to even break up the pass. Plays off the receiver very well and comes up with a big play.
That's Willie's 3rd interception of the season. He leads the Oilers in interceptions. The front three now. Matuzak, Sistrunk, Browning, ready to face the Oilers. Let's see what Pastorini can do now. Since the first period, the Oilers have not been able to do much. Earl Campbell, Tim Wilson are the running backs. Breaking it to the 26 is Earl Campbell, tackled by Otis Sistrunk. Campbell has now carried the ball 13 times for 52 yards.
Another 2nd and 5.
And the 2-minute warning in last week's bench. Timeout along Houston 3. Maple Leaf for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
This is KGW-TV, Channel 8 in Portland.
The last 2 minutes of the first half. A Houston field goal and a 4-yard scamper by Arthur Whittington. A Raider touchdown is the scoring. 7-3 Oakland. This is a 2nd down play coming up and 4 to go for the Oilers. They're putting Campbell in motion. We'll go back the other way to the 30-yard line. Tim Wilson from the University of Maryland is stopped by John Matuzak and Otis Sistrunk.
They've got a 1st down.
Gain of about 4 yards.
That's 2 simple little 5-yard plays. Again, effective offensive line play. Putting a real burden on the linebackers because they're trying to keep Burroughs from being in a position where he's one-on-one. When you do that, you have to get a lot of help in the secondary from your linebackers. They've been trying to run at them. They've been effective doing it.
Houston thrown only 5 passes, completed 1. Pastorini going to that side. That's just a quick hitch pattern, and coming down with the ball is the rookie, Mike Renfro from TCU. Bum Phillips says that he'll be one of the best. That he compares him to Biletnikoff. He runs the short pattern. He has the hands. Won't beat you deep, but he said if you start sneaking up on him, he may.
He'll beat you deep. There's not a receiver in this league that can't beat you deep if you give him an opportunity. And his paw beat a lot of people deep.
Yeah, Ray Renfro. Pastorini again. Out it goes, and that was off the chest of Mike Renfro, who was open up against the sideline. He might have lost that ball in the sun as he looked back.
No, I don't. Well, he may have not been able to find it as quickly as he'd like, but when he turned, the ball was almost on him. It was a well-thrown ball by Pastorini. Charlie Phillips gave him a lot of room, so he must respect his speed some. He just dropped it. Those are the kind the pros have to catch.
Sure, and stay tuned at halftime for Brian Gumbel and NFL 78. 3rd down 3. There's the rookie Renfro. Bert Jones, his father, Mike Renfro, and his father. Both of them with the David Browns at that. Tim Wilson looks like he has the 1st down.
He's got it.
They're going to stop the clock. The Oilers call time. They have 2 left. The clock is stopped with 1 minute and 8 seconds remaining in the first half. Bum Phillips is the new offensive coordinator and still the head coach. There's quite a story out of Houston this week, John.
Well, I know he gets a lot of help from King Hill, who played with St. Louis, played down there in Houston. He's played all over the league with the Eagles for a long time. He was a fine quarterback, and he's a student of this game, and I'm sure he's going to help Dan a lot.
Bum Phillips is one of the more intriguing personalities in the National Football League. After every Thursday practice, they have a little sandwich and beer party. He's easygoing, but he can be tough. Players love him.
I think he's straight, and I think being consistent and straight are the 2 most important qualities in this game. There are a lot of people that are smart, but when you get in a hole, that's when your team finds out where you're coming from, and he's been in a few, and he's come out on top for it.
John, the Dolphins with their famed 53 defense, Matheson. But the first team to really use this 3-4 and go with it all the way in the pros, Bum Phillips put it in on the Houston defense.
That's why it amazes me that he is now the offensive coordinator, because he's been a defensive coach. Doesn't mean you don't know offense, but I got to bet he's letting his offensive coaches do most of the work.
Houston on their 42 1st down. 1 minute 8 seconds to go in the half. Houston has had 10 first downs to 6 for Oakland. That's Burroughs going in motion. Play action pass. Pastorini throwing the ball deep. They've got Renfro there. Touchdown, Houston. Wide open. Mike strike for the Oilers.
And there are not many quarterbacks who could have gotten the ball down to Renfroe. Pastorini had plenty of time to play. However, generally when you're going deep, we mentioned earlier, nobody really respects Mike Renfroe deep. But you can see Phillips is putting his attention on Burroughs, who is coming underneath. He takes his attention off Renfroe. Pastorini, looking in the direction of Burroughs, just fires a perfect strike about 60 yards in the air, catches Renfroe on the dead run, and Houston's ahead.
Phillips falls down on this play. There he goes. Charlie Phillips, 47.
He was beat before he fell down, Kurt. He was trying to recoup, get back into the area he was responsible for.
And a big thrill for the kid. His first National Football League touchdown reception. The kick by Frisch is up. The kick is good, and that's a big one for the Oilers. They scored with 1 minute to go in the first half and retake the lead now, 10-7.
Called a lot of those plays, but very few of them ever happen the way you design them, where you just run two receivers straight down. I'd imagine he's a little tired.
The kick is coming to Brunson on the 4. Brunson's out to the 20, and he's filled there, and going down to cover is number 25, Kurt Knopf, for the Houston Oilers.
All right, he covered his zone. He got down there as fast as anyone on the team. That shows you a man that's in shape. It takes something out of you to catch a 60-yard touchdown pass if it's just the adrenaline that's flowing. He covers his area. He was in a position to make the tackle, had the first man missed. Not bad, kid.
Larry Brunson came limping off the field. And right away, the Raiders go to 3 wide receivers. They're trailing 10-7. 55 seconds to go in the first half. Van Eegen outside. He's down on the 26-yard line. Clock moving. 45 seconds to go in the half. Some of the crowd booing. They're rather quiet here in the Coliseum right now.
I think, Kurt, what Houston, it's been that kind of a game. What Houston's offenses have done, they've kept the whole stadium quiet. They've controlled the ball. They've kept the ball away from Stabler. The 10 points on the board are not indicative of the way the offenses control the ball for Houston.
Stabler outside to Bradshaw. Bradshaw trying to look for room and skips out of bounds on his 34.5-yard line. Willie Alexander took him out, and they stopped the clock with 18 seconds to go.
He was taken out of bounds by Willie Alexander.
Under normal situations, I don't think we'd expect anybody to score any points. However, how many times have you seen Stabler in this situation? 18 seconds to go in his own territory, create some kind of a play, get the ball down the field. Harold Mann kick a field goal.
Raiders have a first down on their 35. They're going to screen or the flag down. Van Eegen goes down. He can't seem to stay on his feet today. He's slipped several times. Curly Culp on top of him. The flag was dropped as they were going with the pitch out and sweep. That's against Houston for offsides with 13 seconds to go in the first half.
If that's an offsides against Houston, Kurt, that screenplay developed very well. If Van Eegen had been able to get the ball cleanly, he had 3 or 4 fellas in front of him, could have been a big gainer.
Alvin Bethea was a man offside, number 65. We have 1st and 5. The Raiders on their 40-yard line. Slot right formation. Short one out to Van Eegen. He's up to 50. And he nearly tripped again as he tried to make a cut. He goes down on the 47, and the Raiders come in and stop the clock with 1 second to go in the first half. Greg Bingham and Art Stringer ganged up to bring Van Eegen down.
He's trying to get the ball in position on the field where one pass play into the end zone might be able to create a score. How many times have you seen an interference? Anything can happen down in the other team's end zone. Put the ball up there and take your chance. He does that with Van Eegen on a short little check flare. They're on the 42-yard line, and you can bet they're going to have a jump center in the end zone with 1 second to play.
Ken Stabler threw 43 passes against the Bears in Chicago last week and did not throw 1 interception. Entering that game, he'd averaged 1 interception every 8 passes. Today he's had 1 interception. Willie Alexander picked one off.
You know, I think sometimes we as broadcasters get into the statistics a little too severely, because in his case he'd thrown 5 balls that were rightly interceptions. He'd thrown 2 interceptions at the end of the half. Here's a situation where he could very easily come up with an interception. In my opinion, it shouldn't even be a statistic, because it's the only chance you have to get the ball into the end zone. He also had 5 tipped balls that went for interceptions. So his throwing has been accurate. The statistics don't imply it.
Well, Bum's got a little Texas chili flowing down there right now. He's unhappy. Last play of the half. Look out, right from behind. Hey, up with the ball is Bethea. And that's the last play of the half. The ball popped out of Stabler's hand into Elvin Bethea's hands. It's recovered short. Arthur Whittington, 2 rookies back for the Raiders. Houston leading as we begin the second half in the Coliseum. Whittington on the 8. 20, 25, 30.
Got room.
45, 40, 41. He's exciting.
Great play by Mike Renfro. Saved a touchdown. He had 2 men in front of him. Mike played off the block terrifically. What was a good return for Oakland was a touchdown if they get Renfro out of the way. He played off 3 blockers perfectly and made the play.
33-yard return here by the rookie Arthur Whittington, who scored a touchdown in the first half. The fastest back the Raiders have ever had here.
Look, you can see they're getting a little help from the backside as Whittington breaks clear to the right. Renfro ducked in and saved it.
Branch to the left, Bradshaw to the right, Stabler the quarterback. Ball goes off to Van Egan, and he plows straight ahead to his 45 for a 5-yard gain, brought down by Elvin Bethea. Second down, 5 for Oakland. Let's see how much Stabler comes out throwing now here in the third period. Stabler's been sacked 10 times in 5 games this year. Not quite as effective as last year, but
he's been effective. Not statistically, but he's been effective in the last 2 minutes where they've won 2 games because of his play.
Robisky cutting. Stopped just short of the 50-yard line by Greg Bingham and Steve Kiner. Kiner, number 57 from Tennessee. Been around. They had a very frank human story on him today here in the Oakland paper, where he admitted it. He was on the drug habit, kicked it years ago, and he said, now I want to hang on the National Football League. And he is. All-American twice at Tennessee. Third down, a half-yard to go. Oakland ball on their own 49. 3 tight ends in there. Oh, they had Stabler. Fumble on the play. Vanasak. Houston recovered.
That's what a mix-up will do, Kurt. And I think Ted Washington recovered the ball. We have seen him inserted in the second half. He was down, but not out.
He was a player injured in the last play of the first half. Houston's ball when we return with a score. Houston 10, Oakland 7. Take a look at that last play, see what happened.
Something that very rarely happens with Pete Vanasak. He and Stabler had a little miscommunication. He ran into Ken, never got a good handle on the ball, got a little contact early, lost control of it, and Washington's up with it. They've got it at midfield.
First down for the Oilers on the 50-yard line. Earl Campbell. Campbell is contained right at the line of scrimmage. That was Charles Phillips. Ted Hendricks. Hendricks wouldn't let him out of his grasp.
No secret to the fact that's the key. If you're going to get the ball and make some points, you better stop 34.
In the first half, Houston had the ball 19 minutes and 50 seconds. The Raiders 10 minutes and 10 seconds. Second down, 9. Campbell fumbles the ball. Up to the ball. The Raiders, Lester Hayes, but the whistle is blown dead. The whistle blew dead. Campbell was down when the ball squirted out.
Correct call. He picked up about five yards, 1 foot off the ground. When he did hit the ground, the ball slipped out. Here's a good shot of it. Finds a way to get through the point of attack. He's coming down, he hits the ground, and the ball suits up.
Well, the turnovers are still 3 charged to Oakland, none to Houston. Houston's ball, they're on the Raider 42-yard line. Third down and 2 to go. Earl Campbell, the leading ball carrier in the game, and Houston has asked for a timeout.
Well, Kenny Fouts and Mike Wiseman have another angle for us to look at. Maybe you can see it a little more clearly. Here he goes. He hits the ground and the ball's gone.
And with a timeout on the field, we'll tell you again next Sunday, football and the World Series, Game 5. Nobody expects a 4-game wipeout. The Dodgers and Yankees are very evenly matched up. 3rd and 2. Coming through is Campbell to the 30. Look at him break tackle. First down.
Man, you know how tough it is. You're really putting the burden on your wide receivers to do some blocking in the secondary. This man breaks free so many times. Mike Renfro's made several key plays. Had he made this one, Campbell would have gone all the way. Short yardage situation, he breaks it at the point of attack. Excellent blocks at the point of attack. Morris gets a good one. He gets away from Tatum, one of the finest tacklers in the league. Renfro misses on Lester Hayes, who comes up with the play, but they've got it 1st and 10 on the 19.
Oh, he is something, Earl Campbell. Campbell and Wilson, the running back. Campbell, the rookie. 83 yards for him. We're only in the 3rd quarter. They give him the ball again. There he goes outside. But they turn him out on the 18-yard line. Monty Johnson pushed him out. But you saw, no matter how big and strong he is, he can still pick his way, and he saw the corner and went for it with that quick acceleration.
You bet. And even more impressive is there's only one running back down there. Everybody in the house knows where he's going. They would rather sacrifice a running back in several situations, have 2 tight ends. You can run to either one of them, get a good block at the point of attack. Bringing him down is another thing, once you know where he's going.
2nd down, 9. The Oilers on the Oakland 17. Pastorini fakes the handoff. Throws a pass. It's complete to Barber, the tight end. And Barber is a touchdown.
He made a fine play after he caught the ball to sneak in the end zone. Looked like he might go out on the 1-yard line. But that's the sort of thing you can do as a quarterback when you've got a great fullback. A little fake draw play. Nothing fancy. However, somebody has to be in a position to stop Campbell. You see, right now they've got old 53, Rod Martin, in there. He's got to keep his place. You're beating linebackers with your tight end. He gets by on Phillips and into the end zone.
Mike Barber, the young tight end out of Louisiana Tech, has just enhanced the Oilers' lead. And for those who have been watching the San Diego-Denver game, the Houston Oilers have just scored here. The Houston Oilers are leading 16-7. We're in the 3rd period, 11:28 to go in this period. Frisch's kick is up, and it's good. And the score is now Houston 17, Oakland 7. On the 15, 20, and nothing right now is going right for the Raiders here in the 3rd period.
They're making the little mistakes they don't usually make. They're usually in control of a football game. This one they are very much the effect of.
The Raiders have played 4 of their 5 games on the road. The only home game they played, where they're usually invincible here, they lost to New England, and now they are behind the Houston Oilers. And it's a worried John Madden.
He's got reason. They're not winning the battle up front.
First down, Raiders on the 20-yard line. Their own 20. Stabler to Robisky. Robisky, gang tackle on his 23. With pursuit, Mike Reinfeldt, the safety. Steve Kiner, the linebacker. 2nd down, 7. Pastorini has thrown 2 touchdown passes today. 1 of 58 to the rookie Renfro, who's looked very good. 1 of 17 to the young tight end Barber, along with a field goal. And there's a man that sort of set it all up, Earl Campbell, with his bull-like rushes up the middle and around the edge. Robisky out for a first down to the 35-yard line of the Raiders, where he's taken by Robert Brazile.
Great blocking at the point of attack. Art Shell again. Gene Upshaw, that left side of the Oakland line. When it opens up a few holes, those running backs do their thing.
Raiders at their 35.
Here we got a good block also from Van Egan. Backs complement each other a lot in Oakland.
The 49ers.
They better do a lot of it now.
Seattle 19. Minnesota 14.
Robisky's out. Whittington comes on. Robisky been bothered with a leg pull, limping off the field. First down for the Raiders. Stabler will throw. Stabler shoots it. Casper, there's a flag down. Casper at the 50.
Casper was trying to get free from a linebacker. Once again, it was 15 yards past the line of scrimmage. I'm sure something will be called. A little pushing.
That's an illegal chuck against Houston.
That's about the only way you can stop Casper. Once he gets down the field, he's got such moves. He and Stabler really work well together. Stabler sees where he's going to be. Got there a little late, but he had a little help.
That was no interference call.
Number 57, first down.
It's called on Kiner. After the receiver got 5 yards beyond the line of scrimmage, he bumped him, and that's illegal this year. You can only chuck or bump him, smack him once. It's an automatic first down on the Raider 40. They had a good hole open that time for Pete Banaszak. He roared out to the 49 of the Raiders, second down, a yard to go. The free safety, Mike Reinfeldt.
And that's the second tackle that Mike Reinfeldt has had to make. When your free safety's making the stops, your offensive line and backs are doing the job. Mickey Marvin cleared out a good hole, and Peter followed him right through.
Second down, 2 to go. Oakland's ball on their 48. 17-7 Houston. There's a first down for Banaszak as he squirms into Houston territory to the Houston 49, where he was taken by Curly Culp and James Young. Now the crowd's coming to life a little bit.
Well, that's the first indication they can move the ball on the ground against Houston. It's no easy thing. They're going to have to move it both upstairs and on the ground to be effective.
Stabler is going to set up a slot right formation. Branch and Bradshaw, the bottom of your screen. He lets him come through. Hey, he nearly threw that one into the hands of Robert Brazil, the outside linebacker, and Robert is saying, perfect screen pass for me.
But there's no way he could catch the ball. It would have been a definite, just a reaction, because he was playing the screen, playing it very well, had really stopped any effectiveness it might have had. He didn't expect the ball to come through two people and hit him right in the chest. He's playing, right now, he's playing a situation. The ball hits him right in the shoulder pads. Would have been a reaction if he'd caught it.
Second down, 10. J.C. Wilson, 33, becomes a fifth secondary back. Bingham, a linebacker, goes out. Baumgartner has gone in, replacing Ted Washington. Bradshaw, Biletnikoff, Branch, three wide receivers for Oakland. The pass, intercepted by Art Stringer. Art Stringer, linebacker, back of Kiner, picked that one off. That's the fourth turnover charge to Oakland. Houston has not committed a mistake.
I have heard very few times in the Oakland Coliseum, with all that Stabler's done here, that he's booed. He was booed a little that time. It doesn't take long for people to forget. That was a poorly thrown pass, one Stabler very seldom does. That was all on Kenny.
And that's Art Stringer, a ball stay, bringing it back to the Oakland 45-yard line. So Houston now has had two breaks in this quarter. They took advantage of the first one, and let's see what they do with this one. Right away, Tim Wilson is stopped behind the line of scrimmage. Nothing opened up for him. He took the handoff deep in the eye. Jeff Barnes stopped him. Second down, 10. Stabler.
Second and 10 for Houston. They're at the Raider 45.
Oilers ahead, 17-7. High formation. Coleman and Wilson. Ronnie Coleman to the 40. But Pastorini has a voice that projects. You can hear those signal calls up here in our NBC booth.
You can. Oakland's tightened it up a little bit. They've moved Phil Villapiano to the inside as a linebacker, put Jeff Barnes outside. He's a prospect they've wanted to see more of, and now with Willie Hall being hurt a little bit today, he's going to get a good shot. Rod Martin played pretty well in the first half.
There are 7 minutes, 30 seconds remaining in the third period. The Oilers lead the Raiders 17-7. But pass complete. Breaking the tackle, Kastner. And the former tight end wide receiver from the Jets broke those tackles and carries the ball for a first down deep into Raider territory where Jeff Barnes and Jack Tatum stop him.
And they had this play stopped short of a first down. Monty Jackson was in excellent position on Kastner. However, picks up a tough throw, gets away from Jackson, 6'5", 220. Does have a little edge if you're one-on-one without any help out there. Picks up a big first down, and Houston's got it on the 16.
I'll never forget the day Namath threw for over 400 yards. Unitas was just short of it, and Kastner caught 3 big ones right down the middle that day at Baltimore. Tim Wilson, not much opening there for him. Sistrunk hit him, aided by Monty Johnson. They're going to spot the ball down on the Raider 14. It'll be second down, 8 to go for the Oilers. They're ahead, 17-7.
And Dante is having his fun. Not very often in Houston history has Dan Pastorini been in a situation where his team does it all. You'd call it out of a hat and make something effective if you got the players that are playing the way his group is.
Second down. Second and 8. The throw. Quick one. Renfro, the rookie. Skips out of bounds. That's the kind of patterns he'll be running. He knows how to run the route. He has sure hands. Played with a losing team at TCU, but they're very high on him.
Well, if they're high on him, he runs an excellent sideline route. It's good. He complements the big playmakers they have so well. You can bet he's going to catch a lot of short outs. He'll come in the middle real good. Pastorini says he's blind when he's running in the middle, and that's the need for a wide receiver. I don't know how you can be blind running in there with some of those catches, but you have to do it.
Then Burrow's out. Campbell is put in the game to get the first down, and he has it. Earl Campbell bucks to the 5-yard line of the Raiders, and Houston has a first down and goal to go. Watch Campbell here.
Here we go. The offensive line again gets off on the ball. It's very tough to make a yard in a situation like this. Campbell picks up 2.
They really have 3 tight ends there now. Mike Barber, his backup, Conrad Rucker, and Rich Castor, who played a lot of tight end with the Jets. Campbell stays in. First and goal to go for Houston on the Raider 5. Fumble.
Oakland's got it, and they're gone.
Running for a touchdown. What a turn of events.
I'd say that's a pretty big play. It looks like Campbell's going into the end zone. Charlie Phillips picks up a fumble, has enough time to get up with the ball, take it on 96 yards for a touchdown.
Look at this now. There's Campbell.
Houston's had everything going their way. They've run over the top of Oakland. Dave Browning creates the fumble that Campbell coughed up. Phillips is in the right place at the right time. Tatum helps out with a block. He gets by Karl Mock, and he's into the end zone.
They're being chased there by Morris Towns. 96 yards on a recovered fumble. Campbell, you notice, sometimes carries that ball out with one hand.
He does carry it a little loose, but every great running back does, Kurt. That's not the reason. Browning fooled him, got a piece of the ball. He fumbled in a crucial situation. Big break for Oakland.
The kick was good. The Raiders were just about to be buried under, and suddenly they're right back in it. Timeout. 17-14 in favor of Houston. There where he had to be. Came up with a fumble, broke the Oiler all-time record, 96 yards with a recovered fumble. Robert Turner, Johnny Durden. Durden, the rookie. Ooh, he hurdled his way over the 25 to the 26. Now look at the fumble again. Browning, as John Brody pointed out, causes this strip. Watch it.
As Campbell gets the ball, Browning's in pretty good position just to reach, get what he can of the ball, happens to catch the ball directly. It scoots out of Campbell's possession. Phillips is in perfect position just at the right time. Jack Tatum standing next to him helps him out with a key block. And that baby turns the game around in a very key game early in the season. Both teams at 3-2. It's a must for both of them.
That was the first Houston turnover, and what a costly one. Campbell and Carpenter are the running back. Here's Campbell. Lowered his head and Pat Toomey took him. Campbell almost in for the touchdown. Could have been stopped short of the goal line, but the Oilers had 3 more cracks at it, and that's why this play could be it for the game.
And you know, a guy like Campbell feels so bad about it. You'll see right now, it would be a mistake to try and make up for it all at once. You can't do everything for everybody. He's made a mistake to the degree he just comes back and does his thing, which everybody has been commending him for. He'll be fine.
Bum Phillips said he's one of the finest men he's ever coached. Well, they're up there now. Filipiano met him head on. Bill Filipiano, number 41, stops Earl Campbell. He told me a story, John. When he didn't start last week and didn't practice during the week, he might have been able to start against Cleveland, but he decided to hold him out. But he went to Bum Phillips and said, look, I haven't practiced. Ronnie Coleman deserves to start ahead of me.
And Ronnie Coleman is an excellent running back. It's very fortunate for the team, but very unfortunate for Ron Coleman to be behind Earl Campbell.
Getting some receivers on the field now. Campbell's left. Coleman replaced him. 3rd down, 6. Pastorini, it's up in the air and deflected at the line of scrimmage. And the Raider defense will get a big hand as they come to the sideline.
Well, the whole flow has changed. These people all of a sudden quit sitting on their hands. They're up in action. How many times have you seen Oakland come back from a 10-point deficit with their backs to the wall, particularly at home, get some sort of a fluke play, turn it into an advantage, and go on from there? Now it's Houston with their backs to the wall, even though they've got a 3-point lead.
The House of Trills. Punt formation. Cliff Parsley. Colsey is the safety man. Towering kick of beauty. Colsey waiting. 27, 30, 35. And taken from behind at his 36, 37-yard line. The rookie down there, Guido Merkins, covering at Durden, some bad feelings. A flag is down.
I think you're going to see this one called against the Raiders.
Colsey's the man that intercepted the pass against the Bears last week in overtime. Took it down to the 4 where Whittington took it in. Watch this.
As he receives this punt, he makes a great play right there at the beginning. He gets outside. Now it looks like he's going to go clear. Merkins comes in from the backside and stops him. And I don't think he's too happy about it.
No, sir.
However, that isn't part of the deal.
Penalty charged against the Raiders. Let's listen to the call.
Unsportsmanlike conduct. Offense number 20. First down.
Neil Colsey charged with unsportsmanlike conduct.
Correct call.
15 yards against them. Raiders ball on their own 21. Houston ahead 17-14. 3:19 to go in the third period. Van Egan out to the 27. 6-yard gain for him. He is stopped there by James Young, the left end, aided by Greg Bingham, the inside linebacker from Purdue. 2nd down, 4.
And that is exactly what Oakland must do to get Houston's linebackers more conscious about stopping the run, so they can, utilize some of that secondary vulnerability. They haven't been able to get it back there without a lot of help from the secondary.
Van Egan's had 23 yards today, the second leading rusher in the conference. Robisky, the flag goes down. He's stopped at the 26. Campbell is the leading ball carrier in this game. We'll check his figures. That's holding. Campbell has 94 yards in the game.
Stop the play.
Washington.
Penalty coming up against the Raiders.
The last play. Now they're talking to Kiner. Alvin Bethea, the defensive captain, is number 65. There's Bingham, number 54.
He's a dynamic guy. I tell you, if you need a little pump up, he'll give you one.
Curly Culp. Tremendous weightlifter, by the way. What a deal they made with Kansas City when they got Curly Culp, because they went to the 3-man line, and Curly Culp is a prototype of the middle guard in the 3-man line. They're going to accept this penalty, Houston. around on the official.
Have a little problem finding the spot.
Offense, 10-yard penalty. Second down.
10-yard penalty, as you heard. On the 17-yard line of the Raiders. Second down instead of 2nd and 4. It's now 2nd and 14. Whittington has replaced Robisky, the running back. He's in there with Van Egan. Here's Whittington. Turns the corner, comes up to the 23-yard line. Stays in bounds. The clock keeps moving. 2.5 to go in the third period.
You know, 4-yard gain puts them in a 3rd down and 10 situation. However, defensively, Houston is still hustling. That's the key to a great defensive football team. Their team got him a 10-point edge. Greg Bingham on the play is coming from clear across the field on the other side. Catches an Art Whittington at the sideline with only a 4 or 5-yard gain. I guess actually he got 6, but look at this hustle. Here he comes, just trying to get a piece of the ball carrier, and he finally gets it.
Everybody in the stadium looking for the pass. 3rd and 6. Out it goes. It's complete for a 1st down. Dave Casper, the tight end. Right on top of him was Ted Washington, but too late. Casper.
Gain of about 11 yards and a 1st down and 10 for the Raiders.
That's his first reception today. We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
This is KGW TV, Channel 8 in Portland.
Kurt Gowdy and John Brody here in the Oakland Coliseum. Raiders ball, 1st down in their 36. Van Egan blitzed through, lost his balance, picked up yardage. He'd have stayed on his feet, might have gone farther, but maybe that's why he didn't stay on his feet.
You notice the Oakland offensive linemen do very little pulling. Once in a while, they'll pull. Defensive players in football, the Houston Oilers, they're starting to find a few cracks.
3rd period of San Diego over Denver, 14-0. Denver's lost only 1 game. Over the 45 to the 46.
This might be enough for a 1st down.
Here's Seattle, 19-14 over the Vikes. And the Rams are the 49ers now, 17-10. Los Angeles, 3rd period. Raiders with a 1st down on their own 47-yard line. Been a grudging drive for them. They've come up from their 17 after a penalty. We're in the last 15 seconds of the 3rd period. Look at the time. There's the pass completed. Coming out of the backfield, Terry Robisky for another Raider 1st down. There's the gun ending the 3rd period in Oakland, and the score is Houston 17, Oakland 14. We're going to give you that address again, so get a pencil and paper so you can write it down. Not her address, the Olympic address. Raiders 1st down, just short of the Houston 40-yard line. As we go into the 4th quarter, Houston's ahead 17-14. They had a 17-7 lead. They had the ball 1st and goal to go on the Oakland 5. Earl Campbell lost the fumble that was picked up by Charlie Phillips, who ran 96 yards for a touchdown to completely change the complexion, although the Oilers still have the lead. And Madden's hot again on the sideline.
17, the 49ers 10.
Branch is to the left, Bradshaw to the right. Turnovers, 4 against Oakland, 1 against Houston. Van Egan just back to the line of scrimmage. Here's that address now to send your tax-deductible contribution to help our American Olympic athletes. U.S. Olympics, Post Office Box 1980C, Cathedral Station, Boston, Massachusetts, 02118. 2nd down, 10 for the Raiders. The Houston 41-yard line. J.C. Wilson, Baumgartner are on the defensive unit right now. This is Whittington. Whittington nowhere for a loss, in fact. Brazil charged across that line of scrimmage, and Art Stringer. And Stringer, John, playing in back of Kiner today, has made some big plays for the Oilers.
All their linebackers are so excellent in pursuit that to run wide on them for a steady diet is the hardest thing in the world. Whittington was effective early in the ball game. However, he hasn't been able to get outside in this half. What they have gained has been Van Egan finding a crack between Upshaw and Shell over Mickey Marvin and Henry Lawrence and putting the ball up top.
3rd down and 13. 3 wide receivers on the field for the Raiders. They have a blitz on, and they sack him.
Okay, very simple. Whoever made the play, it's irrelevant. Stringer was the guy responsible for it. He came around, they had a little game played. They're trying to get to Stabler. They know he's throwing it. Send in the whole group. That play, him getting his hand on Stabler's helmet, caused Stabler to bob down, get up. By that time, the game was over.
I tell you, this Stringer's been alert today. Punt formation, Ray Guy. Back is Billy White Shoes Johnson. He has a career average of around 15 or 16 yards of punt return. There's a kick to him, a line drive. White Shoes fumbles the ball, and he's trying to get out with it. He's down.
Kurt, that's the kind of mistake you don't want to make.
Right.
That ball would have been in the end zone. He could have downed it for a touchback. It was a muff. It was his own impetus to put it in the end zone. That's a big mistake.
A lot of people don't understand the muff or the fumble. The muff is when you never had control, even though he had his hands on it. Here's a muff, but the impetus is put on it by the kicking team. Very been a touchback if he downed it.
Very anxious to make a big play. He hasn't been in the action much. However, this is not the time. When it was in the end zone, I really think he got a little confused as to the rules, thought he had touched it in the field of play and had to get it out of there.
First down for the Oilers on their 1-yard line. He could have downed that ball, Johnson, in the end zone, and it would have been a touchback because the impetus was put on by the kicking team, not because he touched it and muffed it.
Here comes Oakland, Kurt, the 4-3 defense. It's been a while since you've seen that.
That's right. First down. 17-14, Houston ahead. And that's just a yard gain for Rob Carpenter. Monty Johnson and Ted Hendricks met him on the dive at the line of scrimmage.
Stop by Monty Johnson.
Let's take a look at that line drive punt again.
In close games, this is the kind of man that has turned so many around for Houston. They give him the leeway to make the big play anytime he wants to catch the ball. This time a little muff hurt him bad.
Second down, 9. Ooh, down at the 5-yard line. Monty Johnson making the stop. Carpenter was really hit then. Now San Diego, under their new coach Coryell, who took over last week, has moved ahead 17-0. Weiss has replaced Morton at quarterback for Denver. 17-0 San Diego.
And last week they gave the Pats all they could handle before Grogan ran it in for a 28-23 victory. So San Diego's playing some football.
How many expected them to be a strong contender? Who knows? Maybe they still will be. Long ways to go. And Houston is stopped. They'll have to punt. Mike McCoy made the stop. Rob Carpenter got the call 3 plays in a row.
Big series for Oakland. They're bound to get the ball back somewhere around midfield.
Filipiano, Colsey standing on his 45-yard line. Cliff Parsley in punt formation. Oklahoma State. He has a slight breeze at his back. Towering boot, fair catch, 46-yard line of Houston. Colsey fumbled it momentarily, but hangs on to it. And Oakland has the ball in Houston territory when we resume with the score: Houston 17, Oakland 14. Take it. She's been voted the Raiderette of the Week. Being featured here by our director, Ken Fouts. First down, Oakland on the Houston 46. 17-14 Houston. Stabler looking the field over, being rushed now. Throws. He was under the gun there by number 52, Robert Brazil.
Again was going to nobody that time. He got good pressure from Brazil, and you'll notice they're sending their linebackers in to try and help their pass rush, putting a burden on their defensive secondary, but so far they've been up to the task.
All Brazil has been is Rookie of the Year, then All-Pro the next 2 years. He's 238, the outside linebacker, and as swift as many running backs in the National Football League. In other words, just a great natural pro star. Number 52, the Oilers outside linebacker. Second down, 10. Down it goes to Branch. He hangs on to it. Excellent catch by Branch. Wonderful concentration. That's the first reception for Cliff Branch.
Well, Stemrick was in pretty good position, but Branch got himself in such good position that he could wait for the ball to come to his chest. Stemrick, being as small as Branch, had no way to get over the top of him. Hit him right in the numbers. And they've got a first down in a very good situation.
Time remaining is 10:27. Bradshaw splits right, Branch to the left. Raiders ball, first down, Houston 27. Stabler 7 out of 13 today. To the 25-yard line. 2-yard gain for Alvin Bethea. Made the tackle in Arthur Whittington. Second down, 8. I think it just announced that San Diego-Denver score, and that the roar you heard, of course, the Raider fans rooting against Denver. We're ahead of the Raiders in the Western Division standings of the American Conference. Denver 4-1 going in at the end of the day. They chase him. He throws, and he completes it. Inside the 15, and coming back again is Bradshaw, who had to come back to meet the ball.
He was well covered by Alexander. From the time the ball was snapped, he went about 20 yards down the field. The play was only good for 11. However, look how much time a quarterback needs to get this pattern off. Oakland's offensive line enabled Stabler to take that time. There's no way to defend against a pass like that if you're one-on-one.
The Raiders now in the Houston 17. Here it is again. He had to have something on that one. First down. Whittington to the 15-yard line. 2-yard gain. Robert Brazil again. Whittington is stronger than you think. He only weighs 180, but he can get you some inside yardage.
He can get you some inside yardage. However, their most effective runner, Terry Robisky, inside along with Van Egan, usually is in at this time. I suspect he's a bit hurt because he pulled his hamstring a little bit earlier in the contest. We haven't seen an awful lot of him today.
Second down, 8. Bradshaw in motion. Into the corner, intercepted by Willie Alexander. Flag is down. Alexander picked it off, and a flag went down on the play. Let's see who it's on. Maybe on Houston. It is. It'll cancel the interception.
It was thrown in the area where the defensive backs have been called for an awful lot of that chucking and holding it and interference. Greg Bingham looks very unhappy about the call.
Interference.
It was in his area.
Offensive interference against the Raiders. And has been declined by Houston, and they have the ball. And the Raiders have turned it over 5 times today, only once by Houston.
Good defensive play. I think Stabler's guilty here of trying to force a pass that really wasn't open to him. He's being covered. Alexander's really covering Branch man-to-man very well. The ball's just a little bit underthrown. Comes underneath, picks it off, and Houston's back in the 24-yard line.
Oh, Houston has the ball in their 24 with a first down and a 3-point lead. Carpenter, 40, to the 30, to the 33. Sistrunk tackled him there. Rob Carpenter, Miami of Ohio, in his second year. We haven't seen Campbell back in the game lately.
You know, Kurt, after turnovers, so often you see an offensive line move somebody out defensively. I'm not sure the defense has quite enough time to get ready, and the offense gets enthusiastic as you can expect they would on a turnover, and before it's settled down, they're picking up yards.
There's Carpenter again. And every time he's been in there, they give him the ball. Matuzak stopped him. Campbell has 94 yards rushing. Carpenter now has picked up around 28. The Oilers with a first down. And first downs, here comes Campbell back in there. First downs are important to the Oilers when they have it because they're using that clock now. Renfro is out. Campbell is in. Renfro is a wide receiver. The Oilers on their 36. Campbell. Couple of yards. Monty Johnson. You saw 2 or 3 Raider defensive men there standing up to stop him.
Second down and 8 for the Oilers, just past their 36.
Renfro comes back in. The tight end Barber goes to the Houston bench. Second down 8. Oilers ahead, 17-14. Fourth period, just under 7 minutes to play. Campbell broke the tackles to the 40. Matuzak lost him behind the line of scrimmage. Dave Browning finally set him down at the 40-yard line of the Oilers. Third down and 6.
Matuzak made a fine play, however. His broken hand makes it kind of tough for him to tackle anybody, let alone an Earl Campbell all by himself. He did force the issue. Campbell picking up 2 yards, which gives him almost 100 for the day. Was very hard earned and puts him in a 3rd and 5 situation.
I think Campbell's around 98 yards. 98 yards for Earl Campbell rushing. Carpenter on a draw. First down. Oilers, another first down. Well executed draw play with a lone setback.
You know, you mentioned the draw, and in previous weeks it's become almost an obsolete play because the way the pass blocking is set up, it's differentiating from the run blocking. It's kind of hard to entice a lineman in and get him out of the way. However, Houston says they've had a lot of effectiveness, letting the outside fellas go, pushing them out of the way, holding them tight up front. We saw that happen then, and they've got it first.
The Oilers are on their 49. They have clicked off 3 first downs in a row. Campbell's back in. Campbell has the ball and should have his 100 yards for the game. Dave Browning, again, the rookie, right in from the University of Washington, stopped him. The first rookie, really, to make the defensive starting lineup. Campbell now has 100 yards in this game. He did not start. He was questionable, trying to recover from a pulled hamstring muscle. And they're a bit concerned about those big, thick legs of his. Really have these muscle pulls. Remember Bulash, TCU, and Holt. Earl Campbell, the 45. They're going to give him a lot of swimming and stretching exercises.
You know, some guys seem to be susceptible to hamstring pulls. Other fellows don't. I don't pretend to be a physician and know the problem, but I know that I've seen all different types, molds and looks. I don't think there's one specific physique that lends itself to hamstrings.
Third down 5. The important thing for the Oilers, they're using the clock. They've had the ball about the last 3 or 4 minutes. Carpenter, he's stopping that down at the 46. No gain, Rob Carpenter. Hit by Pat Toomey.
They're still
Phil Villapiano.
And they're still playing that 4-3 defense. They haven't played an awful lot of it, but we very seldom see it used by Oakland in anything but a passing situation. These last 2 plays were not necessarily passing situations. They stopped Houston cold.
Cliff Parsley in punt formation. There's Neil Colsey, the Raider safety man. 3:42 to go. Stabler will have to have another one of his patented come down the field executions.
How many times do we see it? It's a very tough thing, too, having thrown a few interceptions that weren't well thrown balls, having to come back. This man can do it.
They're taking all the time. Gets it a high one. It is going to be
I think they got it.
Call it a touchback. Tried to get in there and bat it back out, but he didn't do it. It's a touchback. The Raiders will take over on their own 20 with a timeout to score. Houston 17, Oakland 14.
Very close.
From Marina Del Rey to Marblehead, even landlubbers know the best thing to sail into.
Beer makes it good.
14 seconds remaining in this game, and it's another late come-from-behind situation, staring Ken Stabler in the face. He's been through this many, many times. But he's not up against just an ordinary defensive team right now, the Houston Oilers. They've been tough to move on today. Stabler with 3 wide receivers. Shoots it out, wide of Biletnikoff, and nearly intercepted. Biletnikoff nearly made a spectacular catch. Mike Reinfeldt was right on him there, and almost deflected into another Oilers' hand.
They also got a good pass rush on Kenny. His offensive line held him out just long enough to allow Biletnikoff to come inside. Got a hand on it, but that catch was a little bit beyond the call.
You know, John, the Oilers lost a couple of tough ones last year with decisions that went against them, officials' decisions. I asked Bum Phillips before the game if he had a better club than last year. He said, absolutely.
Well, I think it's very evident.
Because we are a good team. The Raiders knew that. There's the protection for him. That's Dave Casper. Out of bounds he goes. He has a first down. Dave Casper. Robert Brazil drove him out.
Now this is what I think differentiates Stabler in the last phase of a football game. His attention is so keen. Stabler's making a pass block, coming out late. Now it's Brazil's job. He's got to cover him all over the field. Casper gets a good break on the ball. Stabler was actually going to the right side of the field at the last moment, saw him, came over to Casper on the dead run. That's how you keep drives alive.
The Raiders have 3 timeouts left. The Oilers have 2. The Raiders have a first down in their 31-yard line. 3 minutes to go. And Houston ahead by 3. Sideline goal. Houston defensive player, that's 33, J.C. Wilson. Tough catch for him, but he almost had the crack at it.
He does not want to get caught with the ball back there. You'll see him take chances trying to throw the ball into holes where nobody can catch it.
Vanasak replaces Van Egan. Stabler today, 18 attempts, 9 completions, 109 yards.
So far, it's been very good secondary coverage by the whole defensive backfield unit for the Oilers.
Second down 10. Bradshaw out of bounds. First down at the 46-yard line. Morris Bradshaw of Ohio State. He got away from Greg Stemrick.
You love to be able to throw the ball to the inside man, breaking to the outside. It's a 5-back coverage. Stabler waits for the last second, puts the ball out there just as Bradshaw makes his break. He beats Stemrick, and they get another first down.
Bradshaw's caught 4 for 57 yards. He caught 8 last week against the Bears. He has taken over Biletnikoff's starting spot. Ken Kennard goes in to replace Curly Culp in middle guard. First down for the Raiders. Wide open Biletnikoff, and he has another first down. We're at the Houston 41.
Kurt, there is a craftsman. Let's take a look at what he has to get underneath and around and through to get the ball. First, he has to get underneath the cornerback who's playing his own defense. Then he's back on Stemrick. Comes underneath him. It looked a lot more difficult live than it does on the replay.
Clock moving, 2:20 to go. Houston 17, Oakland 14, and Stabler has the Raiders on the move.
He's got it wide open.
Bradshaw to 25. Bradshaw to the 21. Another first down.
Okay, what do you give up when you start having problems getting to the quarterback with your down linemen? You send in your linebackers. is out there just sucking because they have no help in front. Stabler had a clear view to Bradshaw, hits him for a big first down, and they're in field goal position.
2-minute warning. The score, Houston 17, Oakland 14. Patented late game situation that Kenny Stabler has done so many times. There's no use even talking about it. He has moved his club 59 yards.
You've got to talk about it because it's the real story about the Raider Ball Club. Give it to Stabler when things get heat.
Here we go. He's throwing to Casper. Bradshaw twice to Biletnikoff in this drive. Now they run it with Whittington. Whittington spills forward to the 18-yard line. Well, they suddenly go back to the run. He was tackled by Greg Stemrick and Ted Washington. Second down, 7. 1:45 to play. 3 wide receivers on the field. Whittington comes off. Biletnikoff, Bradshaw, Branch. 17-14. Houston ahead. 1:30 to go. No rush. Casper stopped at the 11. The clock is moving.
First down. Okay, Stabler comes back, looks to the left side. He's got Casper as an outlet. Standing by the sideline, Ted Washington makes the play.
The Raiders call a timeout. We'll be back with the score 17-14 Houston. Raiders 6 out of 7 on this drive. He has taken them 70 yards from his own 20 to the Houston 10-yard line. There's the time, and there's something to play around with this time.
Well, right now, he does not want to give the ball back to Houston if they kick a field goal. Plenty of time for Houston to get back and win the ball game late. I expect him to run the ball a couple times, trying to get in a good field position, then take a shot for the end zone. Maybe only one run will run the clock off enough, but I think he'll do that.
They have 2 tight ends in. This is Whittington. Whittington with a 4. Stays in bounds when they put him down. Clock is moving.
I doubt he'll call a timeout.
Houston.
Yeah, he did.
Now it's backed up. They take a timeout. Oakland has 1 timeout left. 58 seconds to go in the game. Stabler. Back again. Yeah, I can recall so many. Well, I remember Blanda with a run he had here, and then Stabler in those playoff games with Miami and New England in the last 2 minutes, what he did. Time permitting. Time permitting, NFL report. All the scores and highlights of today's game. All right, John, it's second down, 4 to go for a touchdown.
Okay, now I don't believe they have any more timeouts left. They have 1 left, I've found. So they still have time to do anything they like. They've got 58 seconds. If they score, they don't want it to be a field goal. They've got to get it in the end zone to keep Houston from being able to win the ball game with a field goal.
They've got all the power boys in there. 3 tight ends. Van Egan, Whittington. They're going to Branch is the only wide receiver they have.
Tough 4 yards down there against Houston.
Second down, 4 to go for a touchdown. Whittington.
Y'all be careful.
Third down and 3 to go for a touchdown.
Here we go. It's not too easy. You can jump, but you don't know where you'll land.
And again, the Oilers have taken time. They are now out of timeouts. Vanasak's into the game. Van Egan is out. There's your score. There's your time. They took the ball over, the Raiders on their own 20 with a little over 3 minutes to go in the game. And now they're on the Houston 3-yard line with 47 seconds remaining.
Errol Mann sitting there with a little routine chip shot to complete a tie and send this into overtime for the 3rd time in 6 games, Kurt, that we've been watching.
We had the overtime last week against the Bears. And Bum was in overtime last week at Cleveland and won that one.
I think it's a good rule. There should be a winner.
They weren't in overtime. They were in... Stabler throws.
He's got it. Got it.
Off the ball. What a catch by Dave Casper.
Now that's an unreal catch. I don't know how many. It kind of reminds you of the same kind of play Clarence Davis made in the Miami playoff game. Stabler's coming out. Everyone has the play well covered. Stabler's going out. They know he's not going to run it. He shoots the ball real low to Casper. Stemrick's in pretty good position. However, Casper kind of butts him out of the way, comes up with the ball, and the Raiders take the lead in the last 42 seconds.
Miraculous catch by Casper, surrounded by white-shirted Oilers. 80 yards they went. They had 11 plays. Stabler completing 7 passes.
Got to be a heartbreaker for Houston. They've still got 42 seconds, but they've thoroughly outplayed Oakland all day long, and it looks as if they're going to come out on the short end.
The kick is up. Good. Well, another late story from the House of Thrill. A timeout is 21-17 now, Oakland. Field 80 yards to put the Raiders out in front. John Durden and Billy Johnson are deep. Booming kick to Billy Whiteshoe. And he is going to run it out. He'll go nowhere. They chase him out of bounds. They knock him out on the 10. Well, the Oilers pin back in their own territory with 38 seconds to go.
They do have a chance, a very dim one, however. When you're on your 11-yard line, it's not what you'd call good field position. You know, to Stabler's credit, it's one thing for a guy to come back on occasion and pull a game out of the hat with 2.5 minutes to go. However, he does it continually. This is the 3rd time this year he's been party to that. And to be able to take the heat, not let it affect you, come back and play good after you played poorly all day is the real mark of a champion.
Ellie moved him last week. We were there, 67 yards with a little over a minute and 20 seconds to go to earn a tie with the Bears, and they won it in overtime. Houston beat their opponent last week, Cleveland, not in overtime, but in the last second on a fresh field goal. They rallied. And unless Houston pulls this one out, this is Robisky coming out, this is going to be a tough loss to take home for the Oilers because they have a very impressive football team, a solid team, and they've dominated most of this game.
They've done everything you could ask a football team to do, special teams, everything.
One play is deciding this game right now when Earl Campbell fumbled on the 4-yard line of Oakland, and Phillips came up with it and ran 96 yards for a touchdown. That's the play of the game. That turned it around. Pastorini, flag is down. Ronnie Coleman has it, but they dropped the flag. The clock stops with 32 seconds to go. Campbell had not fumbled. Well, if is a big word, anything. This is holding against Houston. Even if Campbell had stopped on the 3-yard line, Houston would have had a 2nd and 3 to go for a touchdown. Probably would have scored. Campbell's had over 100 yards today, by the way. A great-looking rookie.
Sure, a lot of times you can fumble and your own man falls on the ball. You know, how many times do you see a fumble of a team going into a touchdown fall in the other team's hands and the guy gets up and runs 96 yards? Now, that's what you call blind luck, no matter how you cut it.
A Houston touchdown would have given them a 24-7 lead. That turned it around.
6-yard line where it is 1st and 15.
Campbell carried the ball today 26 times, 103 yards. Stabler just took his club 80 yards, hitting pass after pass, finally reaching Dave Casper in the end zone. 1st down, 15. Throws a short one out. Coleman escaping up the sideline out of bounds and stops the clock. 1st down at the 28-yard line of Houston.
Big play. They got out of the hole. They got a 22 or 3-yard gain. They've got some field position to work with, and they've still got 26 seconds. You can bet he's going to let his big playmakers go down the field. Good catch by Coleman.
The Oilers need a touchdown. They're 4 points short. Rob Carpenter, 26, alongside his coach. Renfro and Burrow are the receivers. 26 seconds remaining. Another short one to Coleman. Coleman is to the 39. He has a first down. They've stopped the clock.
Timeout call for Houston.
They look to the chain sticks. Houston had 2 timeouts remaining. This one may be on the officials to measure. Well, they've awarded him a first down. And now the timeout is charged to the Oilers. 17 seconds to go. The Oilers have 1 more timeout.
They've got 1 timeout. They need a big play. It could be in the center of the field or to the sideline. When they get that, they'd have an opportunity to throw 2 balls in the end zone, hope somebody comes up with it.
John, I know many fans are saying, well, why doesn't Pastorini just rear up and just throw that ball as far as he can down the field? Why is he throwing short?
Well, he's trying to get himself in a position where he can throw the ball down the field into the end zone and come up with a big play. At this point, he'd need 3 big plays. More often than not, the defense is going to come up with a ball. You don't have any position. They've got the edge, but you have to take whatever chance you can take. I think he's taken as much time as he can to get the ball into the position. Now he's going to go 25, 30 yards down the field. If that's complete, we can bet the ball will be going in the end zone.
21-17, the Raiders. 17 seconds to go. First down for the Oilers. Just short of their 40-yard line. They have 3 men way back deep for the Raiders in the secondary. And that one is incomplete, early grabbed by Neil Colsey. It was intended for Ken Burrow. 0-0 crossing. Colsey had his hands on it.
Burrow was trying to find a hole in the center of the field. They're leaving a little vulnerability there, but time is on their side. They can afford to do that. Burrow couldn't find one. Almost lost a head.
Stabler and Casper, the winning battery right now with 12 seconds to go. Casper caught the touchdown pass. Stabler threw it. 4-yard toss. Difficult catch for Casper. Second down, 10 for the Oilers. That's complete. It has a first down. Monty Johnson stopping Mike Barber, the tight end.
Kurt, for most quarterbacks, they don't have an arm strong enough to put in the end zone from midfield. Pastorini, however, does have a chance. His line has to protect long enough to give him an opportunity to let his receivers get into the end zone. And anything can happen once you get it over that goal line. We've seen it many times.
The Oilers are now out of timeouts. This is a desperate drive that's carried from their 5-yard line up to the 50. Madden is still worried.
Well, he's got good reason to be. This is the last play of the ball game. He's not going to throw anything short. He's only got 1 chance. Get it into the Raider end zone.
They're all coming tough for the Raiders. They just squeaked by the Bears in overtime. They've rallied. They were trailing 17-7 with Houston knocking on their goal line. Houston fumbled. Phillips ran 96 yards for a touchdown that turned the game around. And then the last drive engineered by Stabler, sweeping his club 80 yards down the field to score and go ahead.
It didn't only turn the score around either, Kurt. It turned the whole flow of the game around. Since that time, Houston has been able to run the ball effectively as they were earlier, and Oakland was able to move it offensively.
This is probably the last play of the game. Look at the field. Look back to the right. Look at where they're playing, the secondary. They have 4 men back there on the 10-yard line. But it'd be almost impossible to complete a long pass against them. Ken Burrow in motion. The toss is out. It is intercepted. Jack Tatum intercept. It's all over. Oakland wins the game. Tatum intercept in the last play of the game. And there's the final score. Oakland 21 and Houston 17. Another fine comeback and a tough loss for the Oilers. They're a good all-around football team.
Almost unbelievable, wouldn't you say?
John Madden going on in. Final score, there's Bum Phillips. Remember, the World Series. Tuesday, October 10th at 8 p.m. The executive producer of NBC's NFL football is Don Ohlmeyer. The telecast of today's game has been produced by Michael Wiseman. Directed by Ken Fouts. Technical director is Dick Roker. Associate Director Jim Marcioni. Stay tuned now for all the scores and highlights of today's action in the National Football League and the World Series starting Tuesday night, 8 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, October 10th.
Haley Mills.
Back. Here comes the rush. He sidesteps. Can he throw? He can't. The ball flipped forward is loose. A wild scramble. 2 seconds on the clock. It is rolled a fumble. Castro is recovered in the end zone. The Oakland Raiders have scored on the most zany, unbelievable, absolutely impossible dream of a play. Madden is on the field. He wants to know if it's real. They said yes. Get your big butt out of here. He does. There's nothing real in the world anymore. A man would be a fool who ever tried and write a drama and make you believe it. This one will be relived forever.
Hi, I'm Mark Ubanias, and for the next 30 minutes, we're going to take a look back at the players, coaches, and events that shaped one of sports' most incredible success stories. The Oakland Raiders started as a team of last-minute replacements, cast-offs, and incorrigibles, and they found a home right here in Oakland. And over the years, they forged themselves into one of the NFL's most feared teams, a team that put wide-open offense back on the field and contact back into the sport. And along the way, they developed 6 of the greatest players ever to play the game.
The ball on the 13, 2nd and 10. Stabler back, looks left, throws right. Biletnikoff, a leaping catch, touchdown Oakland! Frank Biletnikoff just made a miracle catch with Tim Foley all over it.
Wide receiver Fred Biletnikoff worked his way into pro football's Hall of Fame with determination, sure hands, and an uncanny ability to catch the football in traffic when it counted. Though he lacked great speed, his 76 career touchdowns are an all-time Raider record. And during his 14 years wearing the silver and black, Biletnikoff had 10 straight seasons with 40 or more catches. He totaled nearly 9,000 career yards. In Super Bowl 11, Fred Biletnikoff led the Raiders past Minnesota to their first world championship. His 4 clutch catches earned him Most Valuable Player honors. A 4-time All-Pro, Fred Biletnikoff epitomized Raider grace and discipline and set a standard of excellence by which all receivers can be measured. In the beginning, there was Jim Otto. From 1960 to 1974, the heart of the Raiders and champion of the Raider work ethic.
Hold him down there, baby!
Considered too small by NFL standards, Otto was drafted in the 25th round by Minneapolis of the AFL, a team that abruptly became the Oakland franchise. Number 00 began his march toward the Hall of Fame. The only all-league center in the AFL's 10-year history, he never missed a regular season game during his 15-year pro career. 210 consecutive starts, a staggering 308 games as a Raider. Jim Otto was All-Pro 13 consecutive years. Despite a 10 times broken nose, broken jaw, elbow bone chips, numerous concussions, dislocated knees, fingers, and various other injuries and operations, Jim Otto led the Raiders to 7 division championships and an AFL title in his final 8 seasons. Jim Otto brought dignity to football's least glamorous outpost. Like Jim Otto, Willie Brown almost didn't get a chance to prove his greatness. Drafted late and cut early by the 1963 Houston Oilers, Brown signed with the Denver Broncos and quickly revolutionized pass defense. As the first cornerback to pick up a receiver at the line of scrimmage, Brown's bump and run aggressiveness made him an instant star.
Don't let down, D. Don't let down now. We got to get it back. All the way.
Then Brown brought his in-your-face defense where it was most appreciated, Oakland.
Come on, Willie! Full speed! Open up the gaps now! Come on! Put your foot in the
For every one of his 16 pro seasons, Willie Brown had at least 1 interception, an NFL record. In all, 54 interceptions, 39 as a Raider, 7 times an All-League selection, 5 times an AFL All-Star, and 4 times selected to the Pro Bowl. Willie Brown, one of the premier defensive backs of all time, rightfully has his place in pro football's Hall of Fame.
Watch the stunts, watch the stunts.
Gene Upshaw helped put the crunch back in football and the Raiders' running game in the clear. At 6'5", 255 pounds, he was a rare combination of size and quickness. With Upshaw pulling guard, the Raiders rose to prominence. For 3 decades, number 63 cut a path to the Hall of Fame.
Well, as an offensive lineman, running and leading a sweep was the greatest joy that I had.
Yeah, it's sort of nice when you turn the corner and you look into that defensive back's face, and he looks a little frightened because he's got 260 pounds running at him, and you don't know which way to go.
8 times he received All-Pro or All-Conference recognition, 7 times an All-Star, a club record 24 playoff games, and 217 league games, 207 in a row. And Gene Upshaw is the only player in NFL history to play in Super Bowls in 3 different decades. Next to Gene Upshaw, number 78 offensive tackle Art Shell. It was Shell with precision blocking who helped control the line of scrimmage. Never was the Raider running game more productive than during his 15-year career. And it was Art Shell who played a key role in Super Bowl 11, allowing Raider runners to set what was then a Super Bowl record. But no one appreciated Art Shell more than the Raider quarterbacks.
Loose quarterback coverage. They're way off. They don't want to give up the bomb. Lamonica is back. He looks. He's throwing deep for Wells in traffic. It's Baton Rouge. Wells catches the ball. Wells has caught the ball. Wells has caught the touchdown.
The 2 tight ends are lined up as tight ends. Back goes Darrell to pass. He's looking for Smith, but instead goes down the middle. Chester.